Alright, welcome back to AJ 100, Module 8. We're going to continue with the trial and talk about jury selection. Now, the Sixth Amendment, like we mentioned before, gives you the right to a jury trial. Now, jury service is not only it's a right, it's also a responsibility of every citizen to serve on the jury. So if you're not going to be one of the ones excluded, which we'll talk about in a minute or so, you're going to have to serve on the jury. And it's actually a privilege to serve on a jury. I've always wanted to serve on a jury, and I'll explain in a few minutes how I've not been able to serve on a jury. So the jury selection is a jury pool. It's a pool of your peers. You have to be a citizen of the United States, at least 18 years old, a resident of the county in which the trial occurs. So say if you're living in Los Angeles County, you're part of that. You see in the picture there's a pool of jurors there. That's what it was like the time I showed up. There's probably 80 people in the room to start with. And you have to be able to understand the English language. Now you have some automatic disqualifiers if you're currently a grand juror, and I explained that in the earlier modules. If you're under court-appointed conservatorship, in other words, if your mental stabilities aren't there, maybe a little old person that's under the conservatorship of their son or daughter or something, that's when that would apply. Convicted of a felony or a crime that you received in office and not had your civil rights restored. Remember, we talked earlier about when you get convicted of a crime, your civil rights are going away. And here's the one that excluded me for most of my life, is you can't be a peace officer. Reason being, several reasons. One is they want us to be on the street saving people's lives. So when I retired as a police officer, I thought, oh good, I get to serve on a jury, but I'll talk about my experience with that in a minute here. You can also get an excuse from jury duty, and you hear a lot of people trying to get out of jury duty. I don't know why. They don't want to do the civic duties, but one of them is financial. I can see that. If you're a sole proprietor, say you run a landscape business, and you're it, you run a landscape or a pool business or something out of your truck, and you're it, and you're stuck in a jury trial for a month, where's your business go? It goes away, and that's a financial hardship, so you can get out of it that way. If you're caring for another, such as child care, my wife, when she was raising our family, she was a stay-at-home mom, she used to defer jury duty until the summer, whenever I had vacation, so that she could stay home with the kids. If you have some kind of physical or mental disability which will prevent you from serving, if you don't have any transportation, now if there's access to public transportation, you have to take that. I have a vacation home up in the Northern California, Placer County, and there's no buses or anything, so if I was a person without transportation and the courthouse is a good 20 miles away, I would not be able to make it there unless I had my own vehicle. Also, if you've served within the last 18 months, you can ask for an exemption. It's not automatic, but you can ask for it. My father used to enjoy serving on juries, and so he'd get called at least once a year to go on jury trials. So that's some of the excuses you can ask for. Now, in the jury trial, in the jury selection, they have a process called voir dire, and what it means is to speak the truth. And what they do is they ask you, they start off with a questionnaire about your personal life. They want to know who you're related to, your address, your occupation, marital status, what kind of political activities you participate in, on and on. They ask you several questions. I think it was probably 40 or 50 questions they had on this questionnaire, just to see what your background is, to see if there might be something that would exclude you from serving on a jury trial. I was called for jury duty a couple of years back, right in the middle of the semester, and couldn't claim hardship. I couldn't abandon my students, but I couldn't claim hardship, so I went to serve. And one of the things they asked me was what my prior occupation was, and of course, I told them I was a police officer. And one of the attorneys said, no, I'd like to exclude this person, and the judge turned to me and said, could you be fair and impartial? And I said, yes, I can. So they kept me on the jury, and I'll explain how they finally got rid of me later. Now, you can challenge a juror, a potential juror. They'll go through the jury pool. They'll call 12 of you up and have you sit in the jury box, the first 12, and you'll sit in the jury box, and they'll go by and they'll ask each one of you, juror number one, what's your occupation, stuff like that. And so they can do what's called a challenge for cause, which is a sound, legally justifiable reason why potential jurors are unfit to serve on a particular case. You see in the picture on the screen here is a guy with a big swastika on his head and some German saying, probably says white power or something like that. Clearly, if that guy was called to a jury trial for somebody of color, he might not be a fair and impartial juror. I'm just guessing that. Sometimes you can't tell a book by its cover. So he might be one that they could probably say, yeah, you're unfit to serve. So that's a challenge for cause. You have an unlimited number. What happens is the two attorneys get together, the defense attorney and prosecution get together, and they each have a chance to question a juror and use that challenges for cause. The next one is a peremptory challenge. And what that is they can get ready for no particular reason whatsoever other than the fact that they don't want to have you on the jury. They don't have to provide any reason whatsoever. Because it's such a random reason, they're only allowed a certain number of challenges, peremptory challenges for cause. In capital case, that's where you face a death penalty. You have 20 possible challenges for cause. So you can get rid of 20 jurors out of the pool. And once you've used your 20 up, you can't get rid of any more. So if it comes up somebody you really don't want on, you're out of luck unless you have a challenge for cause. And then on any other trial, it's 10. The Bastin ruling was a ruling that came down several years ago on the Supreme Court that talked about excluding somebody because of race. The thought was that maybe if you put a bunch of women on a jury trial for trying a woman, that they'd be more sympathetic, or maybe an African American or a white person, they might be more sympathetic based on the race of the person. And the Bastin decision says, no, you can't use race as a reason to get rid of somebody off the jury. So that's it for jury selection. Let's move on to the next topic.